Hello and welcome back to coverage here at GP Richmond. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Reed Duke, and we are ready to watch numero uno, number one in the world, Seth Manfield, 9-0 on Black-Red Aggro. Alex Hahn, also 9-0. Reed, also on Black-Red Aggro.
Yeah, no real surprise to see this deck topping the standings. It's been around for a long time. These dominant red cards, even way back from Kaladesh and Amonkhet, you know, a lot of new cards have been printed, but Glorybringer, Chandra Torch of Defiance, Scrapheap Scrounger, these remain some of the just hardest hitting, most punishing cards in the format, and Black-Red's not going anywhere.
Would you have played it?
Yeah, very likely. This late in the season, it's hard to, you know, come into a standard Grand Prix trying to reinvent the wheel. I have tried a couple different decks. I played Blue-Black Control the last time I played Standard, but you really can't go too wrong sleeving up black and red cards.
Manfield had a Scrapheap Scrounger there for turn 2. Bomat Courier, of course, attacked safely past it. But even with that, Alex decided to use Cut to just get rid of it and limit its damage potential. Seth Manfield followed up with Pia Nalar and Friend. Alex still has his Courier going, but now it looks like the stop signs are well and truly in place here for that thing to stop attacking, and in fact it does. And, wow, this is a turn of events. Alex misses his land drop and only plays Scrapheap Scrounger for the turn.
A missed land drop is really bad, particularly in this mirror match, and particularly when you have Bomat Courier, because the main way that you would capitalize on Bomat Courier is to empty your hand very quickly and then refill around turn 4 and 5. But if you can't make your land drops, you can't cast your spells, then you're going to be sitting on a full grip of cards, and Bomat Courier just sort of waiting there for a timely Goblin Chain Whirler to clean it up in the collateral.
Thopter chips in for 1, and Seth just passes a turn back, leaving Pia Nalar on defense. There's a land off the top of the library, though, for Alex.
I can tell you, Marshall, that Seth Manfield is playing with a more defensive, grindy slant on the black-red deck. He's more favoring Planeswalkers, even as Karn Scion of Urza, Chandra Torch Defiance, and not really going with the super aggro Bomat Courier Hazaret build. So this is the game he wants to play. If he has a 2-mana removal spell at instant speed here and then can untap and play something like Glorybringer or Rekindling Phoenix, that's exactly his game plan. But, man, if he actually just has to take the damage here, then things get a lot worse.
Yeah, and that looks like what's going to happen here. Seth Manfield attacked with his Thopter, left PNLR back to block. She got cut. Well, that's the second one from Alex Hahn. And that cleared the way for not only the 2 creatures on the battlefield, but a second copy of Bomat Courier as well. And all Seth could do is just bring back his Scrounger.
But here's a big play.
Cancel that order. So that is a Goblin Chain Whirler to wipe away both Couriers and all that work that Alex had done to get the cards underneath them.
And that sequence, it illustrates why Seth has made the choices that he has. When you expect black-red and various, you know, versions of red aggro to be the most popular and successful decks of the tournament, having Bomat Courier, no matter how strong it is against control and against the rest of the field, in a world of Goblin Chain Whirler, it's a liability. And here Seth, despite having kind of a weak start, looked like his mana was a little inconvenient with a basic swamp and a tapped land on turn 4. He has the Chain Whirler generating 3-for-1 value, 3/3 first strike creature that can't be attacked through unless you spend a removal spell on it. Really just his deck is better set up to leverage that card in this matchup, and it's shining through right now.
That was a big swing back in Seth Manfield's direction. But here's 4th mana for Alex Hahn, and that means he can cast Chandra Torch of Defiance, another one of the key cards, at the 4-mana slot. It looks like he's going to plus, make mana, and use a Braid to kill the Chain Whirler. That'll allow him to attack once again with the Scrounger. And this is a bit of a slugfest here. The players kind of exchanging resources on each other's turn. It feels like every time a player passes, they're ahead.
Yeah, it's true, and that pattern is very likely to continue, actually, until someone misses a beat, until someone has a bad turn where they can't really deploy something. And this could be a key turn here. If Alex Hahn is able to untap with Chandra Torch of Defiance, it'll be a big swing in his favor. Now, that's not particularly likely since Seth Manfield has 4 points of damage on the board, so it doesn't take much, a haste creature or Goblin Chain Whirler to finish off Chandra. But if he doesn't have it, that's big.
All right, well, Manfield has... It looks like he actually attacked Alex with the Thopter.
So he did 3 damage to Chandra,
Yeah.
1 damage to Alex, and part of that must be wanting to turn off the -3 ability of Chandra in an effort to protect his Rekindling Phoenix, because as we know with Rekindling Phoenix, it's often going to take 2 removal spells or removal effects in the same turn to get rid of it, and keeping Chandra off of that 3rd point of loyalty makes it a lot harder on Alex.
Nice hit here for Alex Hahn, though. He pluses and sees Rekindling Phoenix of his own. He's going to cast that for free as far as card draws go, and then play another land as well. So he has recovered nicely from that missed land drop. Reed, the whole chat is tilting because look at Seth's. See how his cards are like crooked. I think he just pulled up his seat a little sideways. Although now that I see it, it is kind of bothering me too. That one scrap heap scrounger's right in the red zone.
So the Rekindling Phoenix is creating an interesting dynamic here, because the last thing you want to do is trade for half of a Phoenix and not finish the job, because that's going to be, of course, a profitable trade for the owner of the Phoenix. So if Seth is going to have a hard time attacking into the Phoenix this turn, that means he's going to have a hard time answering the Chandra Planeswalker. And if we get into a holding pattern...
Rashad fixed it. There you go, Chad. I hope you're happy. Wow. That is really good. Oh, man. All right, Chandra Torch of Defiance is going to... Oh, she's just going to go... She's going to die here. I guess... Blocking with Rekindling Phoenix wasn't something that Alex wanted to do there.
The Phoenix, such an amazing card in this matchup.
Yeah.
Short of maybe a really, really strong Hazaret draw, Phoenix is going to be the best card, the hardest one to deal with. Always demanding 2 spells to trade with it, and that's if you're lucky. If you're not lucky, you just die to the 4-power flyer. But these games where both players have the Phoenix can develop pretty interestingly.
Wow. In they go. I see Seth Manfield's looking to see if there's cut to ribbons in the graveyard, and there's in fact 2 copies of it. Perhaps Alex Hahn trying to set up a win with that here if Seth were to get careless and just decide not to block whatsoever. But
this is always a fascinating situation, Marshall, where your opponent is attacking into your Rekindling Phoenix, and you have to try to predict what they might have for post-combat, because it could be a bluff. They could have nothing, in which case you definitely want to block with your Phoenix. You just get it back next turn for free. But are you going to leave that 0/1 elemental vulnerable to a Goblin Chain Whirler or an Abrade, something like that? These are the questions that Seth has to wrestle with, in addition to factoring in how precious is my life total, how many and which chances can I afford to take in this game.
Now, he does have to block with something here, right? Or else he's just dead.
Correct. I think
so.
He doesn't want to take... he wants to take as little damage as possible. Maybe he can take the hit from just one of the 2 creatures. But even that, I mean, ribbons on back-to-back turns is something that could be possible, and Seth might have a hard time dealing 13 damage all in one shot.
See, Seth really in the tank here about this block. He is going to maximize his life total here, including a chump block with the Thopter.
And part of the interesting decision there was, does Seth want to trade for the Phoenix or for the Scrounger? Last card from Alex Hahn played out. It's a mountain.
That's right, but we did see that key play that you outlined a second ago, Reed. The Chain Whirler followed up that attack and took out the Elemental of Manfield, so he will not be getting back that Rekindling Phoenix, though lucky for him, he's got a backup.
Seth should be at 9 life, I think. Don't think he took enough damage to be down to 1.
We had him at 10, yeah, and now he's at 9. Okay, good. Well, he's got his own copy of Cut. He's going to aim it at the Elemental so that it doesn't get to come back. And a Chandra as well. So Seth Manfield really doing work on Alex Hahn's board state here. Is just going to attack for 3 damage, knocking him down to 10. Leave back that Phoenix. Oh?
Seth really wants to clock Alex for 2 turns because it is very conceivable that Alex could just draw a land, ribbons for 5, ribbons for 5. And there's nothing Seth can do to stop that plan short of killing Alex. So he should really, really focus on his own damage output here.
And he actually can't lose next turn even to a land, right? As far as the ribbons plus Scrounger goes just on its own. 3, 4, 5, 6,
Correct.
7, and then one more would be 8. Well, he's still going to decide to be conservative here, knock Alex down to 10. I mean, I think that part of the equation here is Seth's own copy of ribbons, right? With no blockers right now for Hahn and him top decking, he can attack for 7 next turn and just ribbons him out anyway.
Great point.
So Alex needs to have found something.
So the best thing that could happen for Alex is if he attacks with the Scrounger, Seth blocks, and then Alex plays Goblin Chain Whirler. That would kill the Elemental and the Chandra.
Ooh. And give him a blocker for the Scrounger, a profitable block. Wow.
Exactly.
Wow, that would be an insane draw here if he hit the Chain Whirler. This attack is basically obligatory, so it doesn't really tell us a whole lot about what he drew. Let's see if he's got it, though. There's the Elemental Egg. Is it a Chain Whirler? No.
Okay,
so he's just
Seth,
dead.
Seth is going to win.
Yeah.
He's got 7 points of attack, plus a ribbons in the graveyard and a Chandra.
Yep, he just has to remember his triggers, and then Alex can pack them in. Remember, the Phoenix gets haste, and he says, and I'm going to ribbons you out. Okay, so that's game 1, going to Seth Manfield. He has not been losing a lot. Had a pretty good run in the Legacy tournament, but it ended up faltering a little, and he said, all right, I'm going to go play Standard instead. And now he's on 9-0, coming into the morning here with this black-red aggro deck. Mid-range?
Sure. Mid-range is fair to say. Certainly not that many similarities to something like Wizard Red, where you're all in on your early game damage output. Seth is more looking to play the type of game that we just saw, where he does what he can in the early turns, but really hits his stride around turn 4 and 5 with those Planeswalkers and Glory Bringers, and then finish off with a well-placed ribbons, and that's the recipe.
Well, Seth's been serving up dinner all weekend. 9-0. Looking to try to perhaps even extend his lead. I would imagine that that's on his mind. We obviously talked about the Player of the Year race a lot over the course of the weekend when we were covering you, Reed, being just 1 point behind Seth currently, and with Luis Salvato very much in the mix, just 1 point behind you. And I got to wonder if Seth was looking at, you did well in the Legacy tournament. You were knocking at the door of a top 8. And Salvato is X-1 coming into this round here. He might be thinking, this might not be good enough. Like, I need to put up another big finish to kind of bolster my lead a bit.
Absolutely, that's what he's thinking. This race is somewhat stressful in the sense that there's very little Seth Manfield can do to stop Luis and I from winning matches. So the only thing he can do is put up a Grand Prix top 8 of his own to score some points and put himself further in the lead. But that's exactly what he's doing, what he's looking to do here in Standard.
All right, looks like you're just about done sideboarding and ready to get going again. We have seen some of these Player of the Year races come down to the last event. And I should remind everybody at home that there are more events as well to go that will count towards the Player of the Year race for any players participating. We've got GP Detroit coming up. That's Team Unified Modern. You're going to be there. I'm sure Seth is going to be there. I bet you Luis Salvato is going to be there. So there's pro points there. And then there's a GP weekend with one in Stockholm and one in Hong Kong. And for anybody willing to travel, there's some pro points available there. And I think that's it.
That is it.
Yeah.
Two more weekends after this.
Okay. So it'll be fun to watch, that's for sure. As a spectator, I don't know what it's like for you to be sandwiched in between that Player of the Year race with one player slightly ahead and one player slightly below. But I got to say it's exciting. It puts a lot more weight on some of these matches than we normally would have.
Hey, it's exciting to be part of it.
Not bad to be in the mix either when we're talking about Player of the Year. It means you had a heck of a season, Reed. But boy, just get a couple more and you can. That's a hard thing. I mean, I feel like Player of the Year's, I don't know, it's probably one of the hardest things to get, right?
I would say so.
Like sustained excellence over a year and then overcoming people that had just career year,
Yeah, Player of the Year, I feel like it's not something you can really start the season saying, I'm going to go for Player of the Year. There's not really like a track that you can follow to try to be Player of the Year. It's more about just being the best you can be, giving yourself as many chances as possible, and then if you happen to spike one or more of the Pro Tours, that's when things sort of take shape. But even the very best player in the world, it's not very likely that the very best player starting the season will end up as Player of the Year, because it does depend so much on those strong Pro Tour finishes, and the difference between one match win late in the day in a Pro Tour carries so much weight that even putting up a lot of wins at the Grand Prix level doesn't necessarily make up for that. So it was this year Seth, Luis, and I that had those really strong, sustained good finishes on the Pro Tour, and now, since it was so close at the Pro Tour level, it's coming down to the last couple of points at the Grand Prix.
What was your year from a big picture perspective?
I had a top 8 in the Modern Pro Tour. I had a top 16 with the very deck that we're watching now, Black, Red, Aggro, and Standard. And then I had a 11-5 finish. That's about like 30th place, 35th place, something like that. Wow. With Teamer Energy back when those cards were legal.
Man, that is an impressive year. Nice work.
Thank you. Seth, of course. Seth and Luis, both Pro Tour winners.
Yeah, I mean, so how is that fair, right? They got 25 pro points in one shot?
Yeah, is that the easy way or the hard way?
Yeah, it's the easy way. Definitely the easy way. Here's Hazard at the Fervent as the first play of the game for Alex, though he did help himself out a little bit. He mulliganed. So Hazard one step closer to being able to start attacking, and can be a major problem if not dealt with pretty quickly. That said, it's unlikely that he's going to be able to attack with it quickly, given that he probably would have played the cards in his hand if he had the chance.
Right, so what that tells us is that they're either reactive cards, like removal spells, they are expensive cards, like more Hazarets or Glory Bringers, or they're black cards that he doesn't have access to too much black mana.
Yeah, it looks like you were exactly right, Reed. He's got a Magma Spray, a Rekindling Phoenix. He just drew a land. He also has a Glory Bringer. Look at this. Not playing into it.
Wow, Vraska's Contempt. Now that is Seth Manfield's deck building paying dividends here, as many of the black-red aggro decks do not go deep enough into the color black to support a double-colored spell like Vraska's Contempt. So while a lot of players would be drawing dead to remove the Hazoret, Seth Manfield, well prepared, answers it 1-for-1, and now he's just...
But that tempo zone was huge. Like, Alex could have played Glorybringer or Rekindling Phoenix and declined to do either.
Yeah, that is
like,
strange.
He's going to lose so much tempo. I wonder what he was playing around. I mean, Vraska's Contempt is very good, but can only hit one thing. It's clunky, right? 4 mana. Well, at least he gets to use some of his mana here, Alex. He's going to use that Magma Spray to take down the Scrap Heap Scrounger once and for all. And now he's going to play the Glorybringer. I wonder if Seth has an Unlicensed Disintegration. Maybe a Chandra's Defeat if he has some of those in the sideboard. Pretty common card to see. Yeah, that's the one he has. So Dragon down.
Seth well prepared with the right answers so far, but can he mount any kind of offense of his own?
Would you assume that Alex Hahn would go to the more mid-range / high-end version of the deck, taking out the Bomat Couriers and such post-board, or is that kind of essential to his plan?
I think the two players' decks are gonna look more similar after sideboarding.
Okay.
Although the one holdover from Alex's main deck that's still going to be a major player in the sideboard games is the Hazoret the Fervent, which he played at this game. It had the potential to be good, though Seth Manfield was prepared with the right answer at the right time.
Well, now he's going to play out that Rekindling Phoenix, but he already took a hit from the Glorybringer.
Beginning of combat step, Chandra's Defeat.
That's right. Make sure you don't let that Exert trigger go on the stack or you lose your Phoenix. Potentially.
So Seth thinking, how can he manage this Rekindling Phoenix? Thus far, he's had all the answers, but the Phoenix, one of the most resilient threats, typically demanding 2 full cards to take care of it. Even if Seth has to spend 2 full cards on the Phoenix, he's probably not that disappointed. It's only if his hand is very awkward and he actually can't remove the Phoenix from the battlefield that he's going to be in trouble.
Doomfall.
Great answer.
Yeah. Took his time coming to that conclusion. He must have had other options, but that one is very nice. Another Glorybringer, though, for Alex Hahn. Just get in there.
All you can really do, I think, is try to run Seth out of removal spells. There's no...
This is kind of just brute force, right?
I think so. This isn't a game where tempo or subtlety or maneuvering is really important because both players just have a lot of mana and a high life total, so you just have to keep playing out threats until one sticks. But this is a good one. Hazoret. Seth already used 2 effects that exile permanents. He can't have that many of them.
Yeah. He's got Glorybringer here.
Off to the races.
And now we're just going to start exchanging damage, especially if Alex can draw a land here to get a card out of his hand, because he can go land Glorybringer and be able to attack with both. And that's what he did. Boom. 9 damage. Just like that.
So really crucial that Alex was able to deploy 2 cards that turn, turning on the Hazoret. I think if he had to wait 1 more turn to attack with the God, then the race would have looked very favorable for Seth Manfield.
Yeah, he needed that too because his other card is a Goblin Chain Whirler.
I'll point out one other important play from last turn is that Seth Manfield played Canyon Slough tapped, which is a little bit telling. You would think if he was low on action or worried about the way the game was going to play out, he might keep it to cycle. But the fact that he plays it indicates that he's probably holding something relatively strong or expensive.
Good insight there, something that a pro player would notice and perhaps play-by-play commentator might not. Let's see what Seth does have at his disposal. Because Alex Hahn is almost out of gas. He's just got a Goblin Chain Whirler left in hand.
Three damage. 4 damage.
Okay, so Glorybringer takes just enough to be lethal here. Of course, Hazaret, indestructible, doesn't care. Now it's back on Alex Hahn.
So Seth Manfield with 7 points of power on the battlefield. That's the magic number with Alex Hahn's life total. But the Chain Whirler could alternatively just block the Hazaret. On the board, Hazaret cannot attack because an exertion from the Glorybringer will take out the Chain Whirler, allow both creatures to get through for 7. So Alex Hahn is either going to have to have something else in his hand to deal with one of Seth's creatures, or he's going to have to bluff attack, hope both Seth blocks for some reason, or the most baseline play is just to leave back Hazaret.
Yeah, that's what he's going to do. Go. Has to feel like a good position for Seth. He has a lot of options. Attack with Glorybringer, set up a 2-turn clock, or attack with it, exert it, kill the Chain Whirler, and just play for a slightly longer game.
That's a regular attack.
Okay, so he's going for the 2-turn kill here.
Seth figuring if Alex didn't have the answer to Glorybringer last turn, I'm going to put him in a position where he needs to top deck something.
I like that. Limit his draw steps. Oh, wow, and PNLR is going to make it very difficult for Alex Hahn to actually get through for lethal here. At 12 life, it feels almost impossible. Geez, he even has another Chain Whirler. And all of a sudden, Alex is facing multiple lethal threats in the air. He's got him down to 10.
Interesting. Seth could have gone for a lethal attack there by exerting Glorybringer and sacking the Thopter on the Hazaret, but he didn't want to risk his position on Alex not having an instant speed removal spell.
And you can see that decision makes a lot of sense now, because how in the world is Alex supposed to get in for 10, which I do think Seth's at 10, right?
Correct. Ooh, more blockers.
Hello. Well, this could let him hang around for a little while, but...
the Glorybringer should be able to take out the Thopter.
Of course, yep. And that's going to do it. Thopter can get pumped, and we've got a match in the books. Another win for Seth Manfield. Doing what he does. Crushing Magic tournaments. He's now 10-0. With a very mid-range, even downright slow build of black-red, and it looks like it's matching up very nicely against his opponent's more mid-range to sometimes even aggressive versions of the deck here.
Yeah, clearly this is what I would describe as a mirror match. Many of the cards are in common, and it's impossible for one player to have a huge edge, but those small edges over the course of a long tournament do add up, and the fact that Seth has constructed his deck to eschew 1 toughness creatures and to play a little bit more power in the long game those do provide the little edges in the mirror, and I think it showed through in that match.
Yeah, certainly did. All right, that's going to do it for our live coverage here from this round, but we've got more Time Walk for you after these messages.